few minutes late, 4 minutes late, sorry. Should be just enough time for them to have passed a law in a public hearing.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Got it.
Yep, okay. First agenda item has to do with, we have a couple of presentations that have been requested by two different people regarding zoning development issues. So I'll start with Ken Kearney.
Good evening, Supervisor, members of the board, counselor, officer. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Ken Kearney. I am the founder and president of the Kearney Realty and Development Group. Justin is going to hand out some information about us. We are now in our second generation. My son is my full partner. We're breaking into third generation. My business really started here in Dutchess County over 25 years ago. The majority of our work has been in Dutchess County. We've developed close to 1,000 units of mixed income workforce housing throughout Dutchess County since the early 90s. Well known by Dutchess County Department of Planning, and our model is simple. We develop, we build, we do all our own construction, but most importantly, we manage. And we manage long term. Everything we build, we own long term. We manage long term. We've developed collectively over 2,000 units. We're now in 6 or 7 different locations throughout New York State. And again, we continue to manage. Dutchess County Department of Planning, I ask you to give them a call and ask them about us and our reputation, especially our reputation for managing our properties. As I said, my son Sean, he's at another location tonight. He's my full partner, and he's taking over the business with the same principles from which we started. We're here tonight to discuss a development that we were working on an application. We put a lot of work into it. Over here off of Phillips Road. The timeline is this. In, I think February 21st, 2023, the town was gracious enough to meet with us to discuss the possibility of developing property owned by the Pages, the Halstead Farms. A couple issues came up. We talked about possibly donating land for well fields to help the water district. More importantly, trying to locate a sewer connection. Came away from the meeting positively. The Pages then went out and were seeking to purchase a piece of property on Knoxon Road for the sewer connection. They went into contract, I think in May of 2023, and finally closed in December of 2023. At that point, January of this year, 2024, we went into contract with them. We engaged Pete Sotero, our engineer. I've worked with Pete for well over 20 years. We've done many projects all the way up to Red Oak and so forth. So we've been working on this for over a year and a half now. To date, Pete has a site plan. He's probably about 6 weeks away, 60 days, 6 weeks, 8 weeks away from having a complete application. Flagging the wetlands, locating the sewer. Pete met with the county several times, talking about the rail trail, the connection. Property does butt the rail trail. It's all been very positive. Had another meeting here May 2nd. Again, the town was gracious to meet with us. From there, Pete had other subsequent meetings in May to discuss the road, possible changes to the road, possible land to abandon the road and so forth. So what we're seeking tonight, what we're asking for, is an exemption from your moratorium that's proposed. We're asking to be treated as if the application was in by July 1st. Had I known this was coming, we don't submit half-baked applications. We don't do that. I've been doing this a long time, and we're known as pros. And Pete is very diligent.
Be nice.
Diligent,
Be nice.
but he wouldn't submit something that was half-baked. In addition, we worked, my business, you have to work on different funding streams and funding applications, and you have to hit certain points to get to that. We did apply to Dutchess County, and we received a commitment of $350,000 in home funds. We received that this past spring. So we have been working on this. We have the property, we have a sewer connection. The Pages are willing to work with the town in regards to locating a well field, and that's what we're seeking tonight. And we can talk more about specifics. What Justin has handed out is our history. We're located right over the Putnam line in Baldwin Place in Somers. I did one project in Somers 13, 14 years ago, and the first project took a long time to do. Second project went very quick. Third project quicker. We just completed our fourth project. We're in front of the board right now for our fifth project. I asked you to call the town of Somers about the Carnes and how we conduct our business. I do. I ask all of you to call where we've worked and how we do things, and how we manage and how we stay on top of it. If there's a problem, we deal with it. We own it. We own it. It's what we do. The handout will give you an overview about our company. Our latest project is the handout. The handout? Good. This is where I live. I live in the town of Carmel. This was the first mixed income development in Putnam County. Putnam County did not have a mixed income development before. We just finished it. 2 apartments to go to rent. It was so well received that we just were awarded funding and approvals from the town to do 75 units next door. So we're breaking ground next month on another 75 units called Reservoir Place. We invite any of you to go there. If you're interested, we can arrange a tour, but it's right next to Putnam Hospital Center. If you've ever been to the hospital there, it's right past Putnam Hospital Center. And it's a beautiful setting. These are the buildings. These are the same type of buildings that we are going to construct over here on Phillips Road. So I want Pete to just talk a little bit about the site plan, what he's done, and specific questions you have, ask me. I don't, and I'll finish up with, I feel that this would be a benefit to the town. I've worked in towns before that lacked mixed income housing, lacked those opportunities, lacked those options, and it's worked. It's been well received.
Back up. Something we'll talk about in executive session after we approve.
Of course, if your questions, me as your attorney, of course.
Pete?
Hi, good evening, thank you. I'm Pete Sotero,
an engineer with Renia Engineering Design. I was a former partner in Morris Associates, engineering consultants, Alan and Marie from Daly Farms project. And I was a partner at Morris Associates for almost 20 years, and then we sold the company, and now I'm doing other things. So I just want to tell you very, very quickly, and I don't want to take up too much time, but I think this is important. So Ken said that he and I have been working together for over 20 years. I first met,
No, I was.
okay. Don't interrupt me. So, when I first met Ken, it was 2003, and he was doing his Red Hook project, and I think that was your first big project in Dutchess County?
That's a small one, but yes,
Okay.
first.
All right, so, I met Ken through a friend of mine who was going to do the site work for the project in the Red Hook. So I met with Ken, and, we hit it off, and he said, look, I would like for you to do my engineering for me. And I said, well, sure, that would be, good. He said, I only have one issue. He said, I don't really have the money right now, to pay you. He said, so I would ask you if you would, consider floating me, the money, and then when, I close on my loan with, the state, I will pay you back. And I don't know why, but I just had a feeling that he was a good man. And I went to my partner thought I was crazy. I didn't have a contract agreement with Ken, but I just had a feeling. So anyways, try to make a long story short, we went through the project. It was a great project. Everybody worked together, the county, the state. And, our bill was up to, I think, around $85,000, and my partner
That was
kept.
the first month.
And my partner kept coming to me and said, Pete, is this guy gonna pay us? Because that's a pretty good chunk of money. I said, Ray, trust me, I just have a feeling. So, the day that Ken closed on his loan in the state, he showed up the next day at my door, at Morris Associates' door, with a check, and he had tears in it. And this is a true story. Tears in his eyes, and he said, Pete, I will never, ever forget this, and you and I will be friends for life. And he handed me the $85,000 check, and we have been friends ever since then. I can't tell you how many projects that we've done for him, and his son now, they're a class act. So I just wanted to get that in. So let me just briefly go over the site. I apologize, I gave you a handout. At the time, we wanted to develop a very concept map to have some discussions with the town and with the county, so we didn't have, a survey yet. So we just used like an aerial, photograph, and just came up with a real rough concept plan, which is what you have in front of you. So for some orientation, Titusville Road bends around here, the Pages, main store is right here. We've got, the rail trail here, Knoxon Road coming out to, Manchester Road, Titusville Road, as I said. Phillips Road runs through, the site. Again, as previously said, the site is part of Halstead Farms. The Kearney Realty Group would subdivide approximately 20 acres, which I outlined on your small plan. And it's on here, this is approximately the 20 acres. So before we had meetings with the town, I wanted to come up with a plan, do some research, look into the sewer. When I went to the site, I had a lot of concerns about the site distance at Phillips Road here. It wasn't very good. I had a meeting with the county in the field. We determined that with the extra traffic coming out on the Phillips Road, that wouldn't be acceptable because of the site distance issues. So I met with the county in the field. I also had a meeting with Bob Balkine, the Commissioner of Public Works, in his office, and we discussed having a new entrance out to Titusville Road at a point where you had very good site distance looking both left and to right. I also talked to the county about making a sewer connection by boring underneath the rail trail to the property, which, Ken had mentioned, which the Pages have purchased, which is off, Knoxon Road here, that's got the town trunk line running through the property. Met with the county, they said, look, you know, no problem, we'll give you like permission, you know, you gotta go through the process, obviously, you know, plans and such. And working with the county, engineering and the county planning department, they said, look, you know, this is a prime-like project, so we're also going to allow you pedestrian access directly to, the rail trail, so that residents of the facility would have direct access to, the rail trail. So, that, you know, is something else that we would be working with them. So we had a meeting here, with Supervisor Bell, Wanda, the engineer for the town, the planner. Talked about, you know, like Phillips Road. I think, as you all know, it's not a very well-traveled, roadway. There's 3 or 4 houses up at, you know, the northern end. There's one house that's being, renovated on the, southern end. There's several older barns across the street. So what we proposed was installing a cul-de-sac here that we would only have an emergency access, out to, because we don't want any of the traffic from the development using this northern access. So we had proposed a new road that would be coming out here. The county would like to do something with this odd, like, angle here. Again, we didn't get that far yet. So we had a meeting with the town. Subsequently, on May the 10th, we had a meeting with Mike Kelly, your highway superintendent, and Wanda, and talked about Phillips Road, you know, the cul-de-sac, you know, the condition of Phillips Road. Initially, we had sort of floated the idea of abandonment of Phillips Road. It's obviously not like used much, but that's created some issues, because as part of the abandonment process, you need to get the property owners that have frontage on the road, you need them to sign off on that. And we didn't want to be held up in case someone wasn't, you know, on board with that, and then would hold up, you know, the project. So, when, you know, the moratorium issue, you know, had come up, we kind of put things on hold. But if we're allowed to proceed, I would go back to the town and talk to Mike Kelly about turning this section here into a town road, so that these folks down here on the southern end would be able to access this and come out to Titusville Road safely. We still think we'll need a cul-de-sac here, because we don't want our people going out this way. Maybe the 4 or 5 houses there, you're not gonna find. But again, all those are things that, like, we'll get into. We talked to the town about potential connection to the sewer system. We'd be generating approximately 40,000 gallons per day. We were informed that there's adequate capacity in the plant. We'd obviously have to go through the process of requesting to be included in the sewer district, and we're prepared, like, to do that as part of our application. So, we put quite a bit of work into it. So far, the Carney Group had commissioned the survey. The survey was probably 75% complete until we put it on hold. We've had the wetlands like flagged, so there's been a lot of research that's been done. So far, I was prepared to start meeting with the fire department to go over, and this is just a very concept like layout. This isn't, you know, exactly what we're gonna do, but we had to at least put something down that start to have, like, discussions. So I wanted to meet with the fire department, because I don't wanna design a site and not have fire department input on emergency access, can we get to the buildings, you know, and all that. So that's where we are. At this point, I do wanna go point out that, and I think I highlighted on your maps, that the MGH zoning district is right here on the parcel. So this is MGH, and this is the adjacent residential district.
Thanks, Pete.
That's what happened, thank you.
It runs through the middle of the parcel.
Just at that corner.
Yeah.
The district line runs through the middle of the parcel. Not necessarily the middle, but
Yeah.
okay.
How many units are you proposing?
It's two phases, 72 units in each phase. We were working on the 72, the first phase is 72 units right now. That's what received an award from Dutchess County.
Can you explain what you mean by, mixed income and how that works?
Sure. Take a look at the brochure, Supervisor. I'll use Cromwell as an example. We have units that go all the way up to 90% of AMI. Most of the units are at 60% of AMI. Putnam County, the median income's a little bit higher than Dutchess, just slightly. But if a single person comes in, who have, let's say, I think in Dutchess it's $48,000 or $49,000 for a single person. Let's say a single mom and one child, it's mid-50s. And, doesn't come with any rental assistance. Somebody comes, they apply, do the background checks, we have to certify their income. Their income cannot be above that. So we have units at 60, we have units at 80, we have units at 90. We do 10% of the units we keep at the lowest level. What we have found is we are required to have a certain number of units that are fully adaptable. We have audio-visual units, we have for the hearing impaired, we have fully adapted units for physical disabilities, and what we have found is those are the units that are normally rented at the lowest levels. So we have a great mix of incomes. I was at one of our properties today. I don't know if you're familiar with Beacon. I went there 25 years ago when Beacon wasn't doing well. I was asked to come back, and right next to City Hall, if you know where City Hall is, right to the left of City Hall, we did 73 units of mixed income, and we built market rate right next door. Right next door. And we have some of the highest rents in the city. Market rate next door. It's run right, it's done right. So the income, the units, there's a certain number of units at certain income levels. And what we have, beauty of the 80 and 90%, is sometimes you get people that are just over. They're over $4,000 or $5,000 in their income. We said, well, they have to pay a higher rent. I'm not crazy about it, but they have the opportunity to rent an apartment. And it's also, I learned this in Beacon. When this was a second Caribbean. I was a fireman in South Bronx. I got badly burned one night on my legs, the rest is history. So I left there as a lieutenant in 1992, and I went to Beacon in 1992. And I bought a couple buildings, and I met Dutchess County, and they had a program. And their program was a mix of incomes. And what I found is that if you have a mix of incomes, people from different walks of life, and different jobs and this and that, it works. It works. And that's been my model. I learned the basics there, and 25 years later is the same thing. So we do have to document everybody's income, from their employers. You can have money in the bank, you can have assets and so forth. It was, count up all your assets, and then I think there's a, I don't know, it's 2% or 1.5% of whatever your assets are, it gets added to your income. People's income can go up after the first year. They don't have to leave. We encourage people, income to go up. We want people to do that. I think you can go all the way up to like 140 or 150% of the median income before we have a right to really raise the rent. But they don't have to leave. And we have people, where I was today in Beacon, I have people making $35,000 there. I was talking to a guy today who makes $112,000. It works. So the mix of income works. And we're seeing it again. We're seeing it again in Carmel, so I was up there on Sunday. I stated this, and I'll say it again, I live this. I live this, not just because Carmel is where I live. I live it. I go to my properties. I think my son is kicking me out of the office, anything else. But I go to my properties all the time, and I know when I started in Beacon, our first 40 to 50 units, it was myself and my wife, and we did all the management. We had the phone in the kitchen wall before cell phones. When the phone rang during dinner, we told everybody to be quiet, somebody's calling on the park. And I rented all the apartments myself. And I learned, and I have the same expectation from our property managers. So, we're not a small company anymore. When my son came in, we had 4 employees. We now have 74. It's up to him, we probably have 174. But, we still do business the same way. So, I hope there was an answer in this one.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Just, you met the thresholds for income levels.
Mhm.
Those are managed by your company, right? You assure that the mix is the way it's supposed to be.
That's correct, but they change every year. So,
As the AMI changes.
as the AMI changes every year. In Westchester County, they've gone up significantly. I think Westchester County is, we have a lot of property in Westchester County. For one person, it's $70,000 now. Not nothing.
How many stories are you proposing?
It's a 2 or 3? 2? Yeah, 2-story. Very similar to, the brochure in front. And again, we build, I got into construction, reluctantly, let me say that. I'm not an actual construction guy, I'm not. I learned it because I had to. And, I learned it, and did enough to keep going. My son is really gravitated toward it. He's really good at it. And he loves it. So, presently, we have 6 projects under construction right now, 6. We have one in, and we get calls all over New York State. We have one in Saranac Lake. We have one in way up, Lockport, Western New York, with a big factory. Just finished one up here in Carmel. We have one in, Highland, right over the bridge. We have one in Newburgh, down by the water. Where else? Gloversville. We're doing a downtown project in Gloversville. I don't know if you know, if you've ever been to the brewery in Poughkeepsie, the Zeus Brewery. That's our building. And similar to how I started in Beacon, that was one of our models. So my son developed that. He developed the brewery with rooftop terrace and everything else. I think that that's been very impactful to the city of Poughkeepsie. This is a different model, but it's the same quality, it's the same idea, it's the same thing, what's gonna work. So, our partners, the Pages are staying in the project as a minority partner. And we've done this in other places, and we like it. We have a long relationship with the Pages, and the last 15 years, we don't go anywhere else for our material. They would not have bought that property without this proposal. So if you look at what they've invested and what we've invested, it's a significant amount of money, it's a significant hardship. And right now, as I speak, that property is owned as a right. What time is it? But that's as of now, as I speak, it's owned as a right. And I think that, without getting into all numbers and everything, and I know there's other larger projects, I'm not sure, doesn't appear that there's any units in there that would meet that criteria and would help the town with some of their goals that are laid out in your comprehensive plan and so forth, and different studies that the county and so forth have done. So we want an exception. We will continue to work hard we will work with your consultants, we will work with the boards, and I will get the funding for this. I will, because we're good at that, we're well-known, and we will build it, and we will build it great. And, the only problem you'll have is there won't be enough apartments, the amount of people. 500 people apply for farm, 500, and we have another 150 past it. So we have 650 people apply for 75 apartments. And, again, I ask you guys, anybody wants to go up there and take a look, you can.
Any questions?
Now, can we take the moratorium off, everything, cause I think you've got only one.
It's not my decision.
Well, then, can we vote on it?
Not until we get to that.
So we get to that, it's on our agenda.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate
Thank you.
everybody's time tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Send me that.
Yeah.
Your turn to watch it. Ready? Sure.
All right, Brian Tacosta, we're here tonight, for the Kelly's Restaurant application that was had for the planning board currently. It's an active application. What we were looking to do on the site was remove the existing building and replace it behind, making it a little bit larger. We have retail on the first floor, residential second and third. We have a good application, with the town, it went well received with the planning board. We went ahead and submitted for the application. And while we are under review, this is a rendering of the building, commercial down, residential second, third. While we were doing the zoning analysis and working with Sarah Davis, she issued a letter on July 23rd. That said, in one of the footnotes, it says, the commercial component shall be predominant in the building. So in her words, in her mind, it's 51% of the building would have to be commercial. So technically a portion of the second floor would have to be commercial. And speaking with the planning board, they felt that the residential component on the second and third would be the most efficient avenue to go. And it's my understanding that the town board may have been working on a text amendment to that footnote under section 240. So we were just wondering, from an applicant standpoint, if the board has made any decision on that text amendment to basically change the word predominant, to have retail just on the first floor. The reason why I ask is the planning board likes the application, they'd like to move forward, get positive input from the board members, but from a planning board perspective, in code review, they can only take the application so far until it has some kind of clarification on that word predominant. So we're here tonight from the board just to seek input from them, and if they made a decision altering, I guess that one word, defining the residential component in the town center district.
Do you think it's just a word typo? I mean,
No.
Yeah, that's not a word typo.
It's not a typo.
This came up during town
It
session.
came up, the reason he said that the board is considering potential draft language to resolve this is that the same issue has been raised by, the town center development as well. As you're aware, a number of those buildings are targeted at being mixed-use buildings in town center, with a mix of commercial and potentially, residential within buildings. Predominantly means more than half, and if you're dealing with two-story buildings, that's pretty clear that the commercial's on the bottom and the apartments are above it, right? With 3 stories, that gets difficult, because predominantly should mean that half of one of those floors should be, at a minimum, should be offices or some other commercial use. The town center folks have asked for the same kind of consideration for a number of reasons. One of which is the success at renting out commercial space on second floors, buildings that have been in town center for a long time. There have been chronic problems with filling the stalls on the second floor with successful businesses in a number of those buildings. 2 meetings ago, we had folks in here who own the plaza on Route 82. That was a 2-story plaza, which was designed to have commercial upstairs, and they were requesting to be able to come in with this new proposal to put apartments up there because of the same sorts of challenges. The proposed wording would change it from predominantly commercial to commercial on the first floor. And that would allow the second and third floors to be flexible based on market conditions. If there's a market for offices, for example, they could build offices. But if they have a market for apartments, they can build apartments. But the bottom layer on the ground, where people are walking along the streets on sidewalks and you can walk in and out, it would be shops and retail spaces or restaurants or whatever, that sort of thing. And they've asked for the same consideration, because when you're building a number of buildings, it's pretty hard to anticipate exactly who may want to rent space for offices and who may want to rent space for residential, because not only may that be a mix at the time of development, it's something that can change over time as well. And so that's the flexibility that the town center has been asked for. This is clearly kind of the same thing. And so that's what he was talking about whether, and I guess more than anything, I think they're just asking for us, the town board, to decide and clarify what it is we want out of that kind of zoning in the town center. Do we really insist on wanting, a substantial portion of the second floor and potentially third floor being commercial, when it doesn't look like the market really bears that.
But you also don't have to build 3 stories.
That's true, you do not.
Yeah, but you're allowing town center to.
Well, we haven't done it. See, I see it. This law is not only gonna affect this building, it's gonna affect about 100, 150 apartments in town center, whether they'll be able to put those in or not.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So that's huge decision. That's kind of the reason why we put the moratorium, so that we can discuss that and zoning changes, which we hope to get done. I'm assuming to get through this process in the next 3 to 4 months, right? I mean, shouldn't be much longer than that, right?
That's entirely up to us.
I mean, the moratorium is 6 months max,
Yeah,
right?
but we could vote on it.
You
not have a
could
moratorium.
extend it if you felt like
Yeah,
it, but it's.
Yeah, but why?
I mean, why?
This is separate than the
Yeah,
moratorium,
I know,
however.
but we still.
Right.
I think what you're suggesting is that we can make a decision regarding this issue in concert with our decisions about multifamily more generally across the town. I think that's what you're saying.
Right, we've got to look
You
at
don't
all
think
this.
that they're unrelated?
I think, well, the only place we're allowing right now that we're definitely gonna allow, because we already was 3 stories in town center zone, correct? That's kind of was the plan. But town center zoning, that's for their apartment buildings, so they can technically do that in an apartment building.
Well, that's one of the ironies, of course, is
Right.
that this zoning only puts the condition on 3-story buildings that have
Mixed
retail in the
use.
bottom.
Mixed use.
If you wanted to build 3 full stories of residential, that's permitted.
Right. But it's something we have to look at.
So for
It's something we
example,
have to see.
if they wanted to make that a 3-story apartment building, they wouldn't have to be in here asking about this
Correct.
in the first place.
Oh, if it was all apartments.
Correct. That's
Right.
one of the ironies, right?
Town center, right.
Because that would obviously represent more apartments, right, than what they're proposing. And so that's one of the ironies, is that they could build all apartments, but because they wanna, have a mix, they're in some,
I
they're
guess
in
they're-
they're
right.
kind of a bind, because mixed use requires it to be predominantly, commercial.
I guess the big issue is it affects a lot more than this little project, so it's something.
No, it does, and before,
It's not
and
just
and
this
before
project,
this
it's a
project was
150
even dreamed
So we
up.
can no longer say, Richie, that town centers before our time, because you just voted on 150 apartments.
Yeah, but it's been there for 40 years.
Not those
40
hundred,
years.
not those 150 apartments.
Yeah, but so, you could have said no,
Right.
you know?
I don't know, I haven't had any decision,
I-
I haven't made any decision on town center, I was before my time, but now I will.
For everyone's time.
Right,
In
but
fact,
this
the
is-
only reason it's going is because there was never an end date.
But
on it.
this,
There was an end date put
but
on it,
this
and it was
issue
the year.
is, so I think we have to just try to expedite our decision if this project wants to continue like
I mean,
this.
we could vote on it to let them continue.
That means continue what?
No, we can't do.
No, you can't.
No, we can't.
Cannot do that.
What they're asking for is fundamentally different
Yeah, just
than the
because
folks that were in
yeah.
here. Let me finish.
I got you.
The folks that were just talking want to be exempt from the moratorium and have us allow their project to proceed through the planning process without
Right.
being held up by, the moratorium.
Well, they're gonna lose
The
the
moratorium will
Yeah.
not affect this proposal. Because this is, I understand there are apartments in it, but this proposal is not a multi-family proposal. This is a multi-use proposal, which is not affected by the moratorium. What it is affected by is the 51% that's in that footnote, which isn't the purpose of the moratorium. It's a different issue.
I think this is affected by the moratorium, except you need the application in time.
No,
Am I wrong or right on that?
multifamily doesn't, and multifamily is different than multi-purpose residential, right? Isn't that a different use?
Just take a look at it, but this application was submitted. down
Correct.
the
It wasn't,
line
it
before.
was,
Correct,
it wouldn't be
correct.
affected by the
Correct.
moratorium
Correct.
in either event, so I guess we don't actually need to.
Right, doesn't
to get
matter.
into the
Yeah.
minutia of what I was just saying. In either way, it's not affected by the moratorium. It's held up because technically it's not allowed at all.
The
Because of the
moratorium is hard.
definition of predominant.
Correct.
It's a different issue, is my point.
Yes. Yeah, they're not impacted by the moratorium, they're impacted by.
Now, that
the
said,
section.
I don't know that we're gonna make a decision on this tonight. And right, there's nothing we can vote on tonight to do anything about this, because we can't exempt them from the existing law.
So.
So what we can have is what we need to consider is whether we want to address that anomaly related to multi-purpose or multi-use buildings sooner rather than later.
So
That is something we've gotta decide sooner rather than later. And that we don't have to decide tonight, but we do have to decide whether we're going to deal with that
Agreed.
and act on it,
Agreed.
right? And he's making us aware of this issue, and I was just trying to point out, we already have draft legislation because town center has the same issue.
Right.
So perhaps we should look at that legislation, and we should determine whether we wanna move forward with that, and if so, at what time. and at
Or if
what
you
point.
want to take this issue out of it and deal with this issue as an option, because there are some other issues going on.
Separate from the other town center
Yes.
issues. Yes, we could move forward with just this change and continue to look at the other proposals from town center, because there are a number of different
How do
zoning
you do
things.
that?
Because he's already got that.
I would just take this.
You just take it out and you
section
pass a
put it into
resolution and it
separate
passes
local
this
law.
change and,
It
instead of the
doesn't
other
have
ones.
to
You
go
don't-
with the other stuff.
Correct, you can,
Right, it's
you
all
can package zoning changes any way you choose. You can either make 5 together, you can make them 5 separate
But
times, you can do it.
if we
any way.
addressed it as this, would it be that area? And I don't get it, it's town center zoning still.
Yes, if we addressed this, we would be addressing it for the entire district.
Right.
But the point is,
Right,
it
so
wouldn't,
all or none,
we
right.
would,
I had to.
I think what Rebecca was saying is we can separate it out of the
Oh.
other zoning
Oh,
proposals
yes, I'm aware.
associated with town center.
She's
That's-
talking about all the other changes.
If we thought that was a good idea, we could just move forward
But it's a big
without having
change,
to worry
right.
about what
And
we're
it's a
doing
law
about it.
change.
We don't have to make all the decisions
I get it.
simultaneously, is the point.
I mean, I agree that we've gotta get moving on.
Right.
these
But in any
decisions.
event,
It's a
like I
fact.
said, I don't know that we're not in a position to actually vote or do anything tonight, so I think we're done. Because I think you've explained the issue, I think we've discussed the nature of the issue, and we realize we have to decide whether we're gonna do something about it, and if so, when.
Makes sense,
Okay.
and we'll just keep in touch and
Sounds good.
And you would have information from next meeting, or?
Yeah, well, I can absolutely make you aware of the proposed legislation that we have, because that's been rattling around and incorporated with the other proposed zoning changes to a one. So I can absolutely share that proposed wording, because I think have you seen the proposed wording? Right, so I think it works for you guys just as well as it would for town center folks. So I don't think we have to do anything different.
Sorry, I'll keep checking.
Right, thanks. Next up, we have a continuation of the public hearing related to the moratorium. We did not close the public hearing. So do we have to vote to reopen it?
Yeah.
We do, right? Do I have a motion to?
Reopening it for purposes of this meeting.
Right.
Right, do I have a motion to reopen the public hearing? Second? All in favor, aye, all opposed, carried. Okay, so I have a couple of things that I wanna say about that. We can have, well, it's a public hearing. Does anyone have anything from the public that they'd like to say at this time on this subject? Sir?
David Mishia, Lagrange. I'm asking, how is this different than what exactly he was just debating here? Is this moratorium is for multifamily and mixed use?
No, so it is. Okay, so it is.
So it's exactly what you were just debating?
It is, okay, I was thinking it was just multifamily, but you're right, it is.
It is, yeah.
Nevertheless, he's exempt from it because.
I understand.
Okay, go.
My question that I was thinking, I was sitting there is, why does it matter? Like, what is the reason that we are regulating, that mixed use can only be 50% or less residential, and multifamily can't have any commercial in it? Like, don't we want to have buildings with a business on the bottom and apartments on top, whether they're 2 or 3 story?
I can explain that, if you want me to answer that. Those are, the reason that there is a difference, the reason we care is because there's a difference written in our code. Those are 2 separate uses. One is multifamily, which is apartments, condos, whatever you wanna say. It's all residential and it's multifamily, right? Multi-use involves buildings that are a mix of commercial and residential. And those things are not both permitted in all districts. In other words, some districts may want to allow multifamily but do not want the multi-use to be permitted, and vice versa.
I understand,
And that-
I asked that
and-
same thing. I asked, why are we doing that? Like, I understand that you're trying to protect your code, but what is the reason?
What's the rationale for having the 2 separate uses and them varying from district to district?
Yeah, is it a safety thing, is it that we just don't wanna see? I'm just trying to understand the reason.
Well, there obviously was a previous administration's law, but I think back then, apartments weren't even permitted in those zones.
Yeah, it's not the same thing as today in 2024, so
So
is
that's something we have to
it
look at, well, we have to look at.
The bottom line is, it was incorporated in the last comprehensive plan. Each district was created that way for whatever the reasons who put it in place 25 years ago did it. And we don't have to sit here and reconsider and fix every single thing that's in the code because a person thinks it's stupid and a bad idea. That's the answer to your question.
Yeah, but you're trying to debate these 2 things, and they're almost nearly the same, and
They're not anything remotely like the same.
But I don't see
Actually,
the reason-
apartment buildings are very, very different than buildings that have a mix of commercial and residential use in them. Those are totally different uses from my perspective.
But a mixed use is still an apartment building, right?
No.
Mixed residential use by definition involves apartments in a building with commercial in it as well. And those apartments may or may not be a significant component. They may be a part of the building. I wouldn't call them apartment buildings because, at least in the current definition of it, it is predominantly commercial, right? So
What
it's
is the
obviously
voting?
not an apartment building if it's predominantly commercial.
What does devoted mean? I mean, he's trying to define predominantly, I think that's pretty obvious, but are we predominantly devoting as far as occupancy? You know, is this all commercial on the bottom, and if you have one family on each floor, is that still predominantly commercial, if you have 2 floors?
I believe,
Or is it now 2 floors?
I believe what he said is that our zoning administrator has determined that, that predominantly means more than 50% of the square footage.
Right, but what about the devoted part? Are we devoting financial use or occupancy use? I mean, if it's. Square footage. And so,
Right.
if you're doing square footage of commercial, well, that's corner to corner, right? But square footage in residential, you exclude a bunch of rooms.
No. they make
That's
the
not how
whole-
that,
that's
that's
not how it-
not from a
how
use
it's done.
perspective. The entire apartment
Right,
is
the entire apartment.
residential. And if the second floor of a building, let's take the simplest, thing. This is where the 51% can actually, make you, drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Let's say you're putting in a two-story building, right? If the bottom floor is commercial and the top floor is residential, you can make the case that that's 50-50, and therefore it's not predominantly, because you need 1% more of commercial. That would drive you crazy, and you probably wouldn't do something that stupid,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, that's how it's measured. It's otherwise, if the second floor,
But
is
you're
for
not saying
apartments,
the second floor.
then that whole square footage of that entire second floor is quote residential.
But it's not,
Yeah.
because you also
Yes,
have
it is.
the non-living spaces.
Yeah, but no, it's still.
You are asserting a definition that doesn't meet how it's actually practiced and administered, and you're entitled to your opinion, but that isn't how it's administered.
So a hallway and, like a elevator, stair shaft.
Still part
It
of
would be,
residential.
right, it'd be a whole, it would be the whole
The
floor.
whole floor.
It would be the whole floor.
Okay. Alright, so it seems that you haven't provided, like, you're saying that I think it's stupid that we have those 2 laws. I don't think
No,
it's
I
stupid.
said,
I'm just-
I said that we don't question administering our laws by saying, why are we doing that every time somebody has an application in front of us? That's, we are.
No, instead you do a moratorium to figure out why we have these 2 laws. right?
No, we're doing a moratorium to determine to what degree we wish to have multifamily across the
And
town and
uses.
in all different districts, and both of these uses. But it has nothing to do with straightening out the differences you're suggesting. It has to do with whether we are comfortable with the degree to which those things are allowed in the different districts across the
Okay. Comfortable, but don't have a reason for it.
town. Okay. Other questions, comments?
They stepped out, so they. No, I know, but did you hear that, what we're doing right now?
They've asked what's, it's fine. So I would, make a motion to close the public hearing on this. All in favor, aye, all opposed, carried. Now, we can, at this point, move forward and adopt these things. However, I would recommend that we go in, we postpone it till we have a chance to go into executive session, because I think we wanna talk about, with our attorney, about their proposal to exempt them from the legislation. I don't think we wanna just do that. I think we should have a conversation with Rebecca about the mechanism for doing that and how it works. Everybody agree with that? Is that okay with that? All right.
So we have a motion to go into executive?
Well, I think you're gonna do
I
that
think
a
we
little
will
later.
do that after we finish the
After?
agenda items. So next up is, the resolution regarding, emergency repairs on the snow, or on the salt shed. As I think you're all aware, we have had an engineer, looking at a number of things in the salt shed, which have some, issues with separation of beams and so forth and so on that, we were evaluating in terms of repairs. He is recommending, that we, do some immediate repairs, prior to that salt shed having to do our snow load on this winter.
Could I ask for
you
Al
can- you
Tabasco
can- you-
to leave right now? Being as
No,
he's
you
in
can't, because
litigation
this is a
with
public meeting and he's on here, and you can ask all the questions you want after I
Okay.
finish talking. As I said, the engineer that we hired is recommending that we consider these emergency repairs.
In his opinion.
Yeah, the guy who's an engineer we hired to give us opinion.
That's what he
Is-
gave us, an opinion, it says. In his opinion, yes, it does.
That's what consultants do.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Are you done? Can I
No,
finish
no,
my sentence
go
now?
for it.
Thanks. these are not permanent repairs that fix the entire issue. They are emergency repairs to put us in a position where it is structurally sound for the winter. There may be other additional repairs that are recommended and other further actions being recommended as well. But in the meantime, he's suggesting that this is something that we probably ought to get done sooner or later. And that's what he, as well as our attorney, are recommending that we do.
Do we not have a structural warranty, lifetime from Lester, warranty revised for 2022?
And now, I am going to recommend that we have, if we are not simply going to authorize this, and we're gonna have a debate about
Well, we
this, can I
vote on it.
finish what I'm saying? We can vote on this? Is that what you just said?
No, I wouldn't vote on it, because I got a lot of
Okay,
reasons
well,
why we shouldn't.
and if we are going to discuss the details on this, I am also gonna recommend that we do that in executive session as well, because as everyone knows, this project is tangled up in litigation, and I would prefer not to have discussions regarding the issues associated with this that could
Give your
negatively
strategy.
affect our position in court. So does everyone agree with that? All right, and the next is a resolution looking for us to authorize the town clerk to apply for grant money for the JCAP. This is an annual thing. JCAP is a program that the state provides grants to courts for expenses. They prepare the recommendation and send it in. The money is used for things they need, but it has to be authorized by the town board. I'm not aware of the town board ever not authorizing it, because, to be blunt, it's not money out of our pocket. And so unless they're suggesting something that is simply not something that we want done, like if they're, I don't know, proposing to put an addition on the building that we don't want, or something along those lines, if they're correct, but it's maxed out at 30,000. It's typically, I don't know, chairs, furniture, that kind of thing. And so, do I have a motion to authorize the court to apply for the grant?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carried. Okay, anything else anybody wants to talk about on the board or have a discussion?
Yes, I've had a lot of people in our district, which is the rural district, Skidmore Road, where the farmland is. When we had talked about this, actually, we had this as a proposal many years ago, it was rejected, and I was one of the people against it, because it didn't include Gary's property. But I would like to send a census out, see how you guys feel about this, asking, because a lot of people have asked me, because every time a big project comes up, they don't want it, so I said, well, you can't cry about it afterwards. So I'd like to send a census out, if you guys would entertain this, to that area, and ask if they would want it, what their feeling is on 5-acre zoning again.
No.
This time.
No.
I didn't ask your opinion, I asked the board's opinion.
Okay.
Okay, so, I don't know, if you, it's basically would be to ask the people, if they wanna do it, and I've had a lot of people tell me they.
The purpose of that, we would send it to every household?
Yeah, wherever you wanna do it, I don't know how it's done, but I would assume they would have one vote per household, right? You give them a registered thing,
Well,
and when they come back, we know, if they don't want it, drop it, if they want it, we entertain it.
So it's okay for everyone that has 1 acre or 2 acre to vote on that guy that owns property that have 5 acres?
Yeah.
That doesn't make much sense.
Maybe to you, because you're not the guy.
I wanna make sure I understand what you're asking for. First of all, do we have a boundary of what section of the town we're talking about taking? as-
I would say, we could use the Taconic as, how did we do it last time, was it the Taconic?
I don't know.
I think it was the Taconic, because.
I don't, I wasn't around when that.
I mean, Reggie, I'm a landowner too, it would hurt me, but if it's better for the town, it's better for the town.
How's it better?
It
how's
would
it better?
stop McMansion developments.
What's wrong with
Well,
someone?
as long as they're spread out and zoned perfectly fine.
Can we-
Again, you've got your opinion, Rick. I just wanna do a same thing.
Everyone does.
That's right, so let's see what the people want.
It is, let's be clear about the vote that you're proposing. This is really just asking them for their opinions. The
That's
vote-
all they wanna
the
know.
vote
They don't
will
wanna do
not-
it to death, but
the
then I don't
vote will
wanna
not be
hear.
binding, nor will it compel us to do anything in particular.
Well, the big thing is, look what happens when we get these proposals, they come in screaming they want our heads. But okay, you turned down 5 acres, oh, and I'm crying about it later. Cause if it's a permitted use, it's a permitted use, it's done. And I'm fine with it either way, actually, I could care less. But if the people can't cry later, they wanna cry, they've gotta decide, that is the most rural part of our town. We all live in it, pretty much, yes, all of us. So, I either wanna hear we're gonna do it, or we're not, you know, I don't care. That's your opinion, Rich, and I really could care less what your opinion is.
I know, well, you will.
So the idea is we're gonna send these things to every single household.
Give them
ask
one vote
and-
each, unless you guys have it.
So each household just sends it back and says whether they think
Or
it's a
they,
good idea or not.
or they're,
right?
if they don't, if they ignore it, then it's a no, right?
Or it's been ignored. Okay, and once again, what section of the town are we talking about?
What do you think?
Taconic
I mean,
East.
you guys entertain, what do you think about this? Susan?
None.
We already heard that, Rich.
Yeah,
You like it?
I'd like to see how much it costs to do this.
The survey?
Well, where would we go? What would the boundary be? It's a county, is it an easy
Zero.
boundary to 82? I'm pretty sure that's where it was last time. You can always look it
We're
up.
talking about everything east of the Taconic?
It's literally the village we're incorporating.
What?
Everything east of the village, so, or east of the.
Cider Hill, you're already in it.
Shut up. Jesus.
I don't think we went down there. I don't think it was south of.
Why don't we look into what we did last?
Look how many properties are.
Yeah, I'm almost sure it didn't go on the other side of 55. It was 55.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Right, it was 55 to Conic to 82. I'm almost sure that's what it was.
So north of 55, east of the Taconic, and west of Route 80.
Right, that's where it was last time.
And you wanna know how much it's gonna cost.
I mean, hey,
So I will see if I can find out how many households that is, and therefore we know how much the mailings would
We
cost.
did it.
They made it 2.57 acres. a
We did it
while
about
ago.
20
It used to be
years ago.
1 acre. And
No,
then they
no,
changed
no,
to-
it was-
It was 1 acre.
Yes, but
Then
they must-
swapped it to 2.57.
Probably, what, 30 years ago?
Yeah, so
maybe 30.
isn't 3 acres enough for someone, 2.5 acres?
Again, I just don't wanna hear when a proposal comes, hey, you guys had a chance, it's almost better. They say, no, I'm fine with it, but don't cry when somebody comes in and wanna build 75 houses on a big piece of property, and we do have a lot of them.
There's nothing wrong with asking people.
That's right, it's a census, that's all it is. To me, I have no skin in the game either way.
It's actually a formal process, it's making new zoning.
I will, endeavor to find out how much that will cost. We simply have to know how many households are affected, how many we're gonna mail it to, how much it's supposed to do.
So we wanna know the cost and.
Yeah, see,
I can do that.
Sounds good.
All right,
Chicken law, we're not finished, but I know we worked on it, so we should have it for the next
Yeah.
meeting, okay?
Yeah, I'm trying to incorporate the, suggestions from.
We did the sidewalks, right?
Oh,
Did we do that?
we did not.
Oh, we did.
At our last meeting, the subject of the sidewalk, contract came up.
You're right, we didn't do it.
The contract was written on an annual basis. So that means that, it gets renewed annually. The provision in it says that, as the contract time comes for renewal, the person who has the contract can petition to the town to increase the cost if they choose. But that we have the option of deciding whether that increase is good or not, and in no case would the increase be any more than 3%.
Right, if it's more than 3%, it automatically goes out.
It
to bid.
automatically goes out to bid.
Mike called them today.
Mike called them today, and they said they have no reason to request a increase at all. And so, since we thought it was a good deal last year, I don't think there's any reason. for us to
$14,970.
talk about Putting together bid packages and going through the whole thing all over again. Does anybody disagree?
I don't believe it.
Okay.
I think if someone wants to bid on it, we could let them.
So you disagree?
Yeah.
And think we should go out to bid again?
I just.
You wanna put together a formal bid package and send it all out again, right? Is that what you're saying?
You already had it made up, so it's just copy and paste.
Does anyone else wanna do that?
We do. He wants to rebid, we have that right, so make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
for fair
We're
bidding.
not putting it out to bid.
Okay.
We're gonna go with the existing contract as it's
You
stated.
guys are not gonna put out the bid?
That's correct, that's what we just decided, sir. And if you could hold
You-
off your
I-
comment,
I-
if you could hold off
Okay.
talking until the appropriate time of the meeting, that would be good with me. Anything from the town attorney?
Not at this time.
Do I have a motion to open the, meeting for public comment? Second, all in favor? Aye, all opposed? Now you can talk.
You guys were satisfied the way he did the first snowstorm? The way he shoveled the sidewalk?
We heard there was some issues the first time, but Mike Kelly was very happy with their performances.
After 4 days?
Again, there was some confusion, he thought Mike was gonna call him the first time, but
Yeah.
after that, was there any other problems after the first time?
Yeah, but he's got a contract with the town of Lagrange. You don't go there, you don't wait for phone call for you to clean the sidewalk.
There was some
There
confusion,
was
how
a
Mike
mix-up
set it
with-
up.
I understand,
respect
don't
to
get me
the
wrong,
first storm.
but the person, I talked to Mike, okay, and he said it's my fault. I said, Mike, it's not your fault. If the guy's got a contract with the town of Lagrange, automatically, after day, I know town of Lagrange cleans the streets in between 12 hours. I mean, you guys do a good job removing snow, okay? You gotta tell me after 4 days, you don't look, see if the streets are clean for you to clean the sidewalk?
Did
I
he lose
wasn't
his bid?
satisfied with it.
Okay.
I
Well, you
wasn't.
wanna bid it,
Of course, I wanna bid it, yeah.
but you bid it 25% more than he did.
And he couldn't do it.
He did.
He didn't fulfill his contract, so he probably lost the contract, the bid, at least.
All right, I would think we should go for a bid again. I mean, give another person a chance to bid the contract.
All right, thank you.
That's it.
Other, comments? Sir?
Yeah, regarding your executive session, you're gonna be discussing emergency repairs. Mr. Rabasco, because he's in litigation, I don't think he should even be attending the meeting, he's reclusing
You're
himself.
entitled to your opinion.
Okay, first off, and then, when you go to the executive session, are we to wait here, and you're gonna come back and make a decision on how you're gonna handle it? You're gonna.
They may.
You
So-
can.
We may,
You may.
let me answer your question. We go into executive session to discuss the issues we're talking about. If the result of that conversation is that the town board is going to take an official action with a vote, we will reconvene here. Well, we will reconvene in here, in any event. If we have a vote to take, we will take that at that time, but we may or may not end up doing anything. It's possible we could come in here and just adjourn, it's possible we can come in here and take action.
Okay, one
But
more
that's the
question.
process.
One more question in regard to the engineer you hired like a year and a half ago, and they finally come up with a decision just one year, 10 months from when he started it. That decision he made, and the engineer's drawings he made, were they sent to Mr. Rapco Construction, Al Rabasco's company, and Lester for their review before you're gonna make a decision on how you're gonna word it? Has his drawings been sent to Lester and Mr. Rabasco for their review?
No, they said they don't know about this repair. I talked to them.
Okay, so how can you make a decision in hiring this firm if the person that's in litigation with the town has no say in what your outcome's gonna be? And basically, he doesn't even, he's not required to even vote on it.
I'm not voting it.
You're not, so you're reclusing yourself from that.
No, it's just influencing the decisions.
Okay, but I'm saying again, how can
I'm
you
not
make a
having anything to do
decision
with that.
to agree?
Just for your awareness, Mr. Rabasco hasn't voted on any of the decisions made by this board related to the salt shed in quite some time. He's recused himself on a number of votes in the past, and I would expect him to continue to do that because of the nature of his involvement.
But you still didn't answer the question. Are you gonna give Lester and Rapco Construction to look at what is being designed? Because
Based on your recommendation that we should?
No, because they have a lifetime warranty on the trusses. They gave you a year after they made the changes, their engineer changes to the trusses, and now you're going outside of their realm of approvals and guarantees, and now you're hired another engineer to make adjudicate how those trusses should be repaired without sending that definition of that truss to them for their approval. I don't understand how you got a lifetime warranty on the structure of the trusses, and now you're gonna circumvent that by now voting on something that they even had, their engineers have not had a chance to review.
Because the
How can
issue
you
is
do that?
construction.
No, we're gonna void the warranty, that's,
You got a lifetime warranty on the trusses, why isn't this all being laid on Lester to repair them rather than a guy out of Rochester, New York?
Now, that's a completely different question than you asked.
Oh, well, it all ties together.
So did you wanna make up your mind what you're asking?
No, bear in mind all of it. You got a guy from New York, Rochester coming down to do repairs for about $36,000. You have RKB's, fees to you for engineering, you got.
I'll tell you what I will do.
What?
I will ask our attorney whether they think it's a good idea for us to, seek, input from Lester regarding these
Good.
changes.
Good, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I am not your attorney on this matter, so.
Correct. Oh, I knew that.
Yeah, everybody else started looking at me, so.
Other questions and concerns? Sir?
The only comment I have is when you're talking about changing zoning east of the Parkway from 5 to 3 or 3 to 5, okay? That was done during the master plan, and we asked all the people on that side, and they asked for the 3 acre rather than the 5.
I know that, and I stated that.
Yep,
I
that's
was
true.
one of those.
That's okay.
Yeah, and
That's
what-
just factually
and-
accurate.
And what killed it was, when I got up.
This is not the place to discuss.
Yeah, okay. We're well aware of that, it's 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
Other
20
questions?
Yeah.
Sir?
David Machine Talent.
Great, so I have another thought on, you're talking about that top right corner of the map, right? And so above 55 and east that's counted, you're looking at about 500 parcels, okay? Because there's about 12 to 1500 east that's counted. So of those parcels, if you were going to limit from 3 to 5, well, this is only going to affect parcels that could subdivide, right? It's only going to affect parcels that are over, I guess, 6 acres, right? And so how many parcels are over 6 acres that don't have any houses on them? You're only talking about affecting like 4 to 10 farmers.
No, it's more.
So, and
We've got a lot of open space.
you're
over
talking
there.
about not a lot of people. And either way, this is a zoning, you're talking about a zoning district. You'd have to go through, make a map, then you have to put it to a vote. It's a whole process. It's not something you're just surveying a couple of neighbors. This is a legitimate process. that you should be
Absolutely
aware of.
correct.
So, but you're talking about only affecting the farmers. You're not talking about affecting residents. You gotta keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's not true. There's a lot of 20, 30, 40 acre pieces up there that aren't farm.
Other,
In the ridge line.
Do I have a motion to close the public comment?
They're all in the ridge line.
Do I have a motion to close
Yes,
the public
motion.
comment period? Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Okay, I would just note, a couple things to know. You're going into executive session, for
Regarding
attorney-client privilege. And then secondly.
and pending litigation.
And pending litigation, however, Mr. Vasco will be leaving at that portion of the executive session.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
No phone, no Bluetooth. Bluetooth also? You have, or one.
For the JCAP, you had Gary Baywright on there. I'm assuming you just recycle the same document each year, but you're gonna wanna change that. 'Cause Miss Kelly Robbins not on there. Yeah.
That's interesting. It's, I think that's fine. I think it's kind of appropriate timing, because that's when they should.
Yeah.
It's related to that.
Pegasus farm?
Yeah, okay. We're not gonna be talking about that. We need that for where we're gonna have the
Water bill, is there in the water district? It's already built.
Yeah.
You want to compare their water usage to. I'm curious what you're trying to do with it. Right, and I talked to the guy, I think I told you, he said, the guy who came out to fix the well, he said, yeah, they really shouldn't be charging you a sewage number based on. Yeah, because if you're using it on your lawn, you're not using it as a sewer. I got it. Yeah.
We got to film to see if Tabasco ever actually walks out of that meeting alone.
Right there by the Sprout Creek Farm. Over there.
Ah. Yeah, I think they went down. I think so.
David, I'll talk to you, David.
Okay. They didn't go down there. They're still up top.
Yeah, I can see him probably call it thing to say. Didn't get a big hole. Loaded from dump.
Well, that's why we have so much, algae there, was fertilizer from fields, used to run into the creek and feed that algae, so.
You get the algae
got-
bloom and that's
The only thing is,
Yeah, you have to.
I know I got into it.
You guys are there. Sometimes they're on the county website.
Cause of my neighbors,
Oh,
wanted
Yeah,
to
I.
go around and throw copper sulfate, I says, no, you
Yeah, I
can't
know
do
what you're
that.
saying, I've never seen.
Now, there was no laws or,
Yeah,
you know,
it's different in the
anything.
six.
I just realized that, no, that's a poison.
Yeah, right. And then he's gonna go swimming. Plus there'll be a lot of fish floating around, you know?
Yeah. So that was good.
Yeah, this was an old map.
No, I don't remember,
Yeah, it was great, she said like an old map.
I don't
the only area was over here was,
I don't know what they did with it, because that's their end of stuff, and they have their own.
Gunpowder.
Yes, I know, I understand that.
Well, there was a lot of the end of
On the
Robinson.
other side of
There was
the
those
house.
little duck lines at the end of Robinson, like three
Yeah,
seventy-six.
down there.
Where they're at.
That's where the.
He would know though.
By that Summerlin Plaza.
He lost it.
No, it's not.
I know. Bob Crosby's.
Yeah, it's not a lot
farmers are still there.
Angus
I don't
cows.
oversee them,
Oh,
but
yeah,
yes,
cows.
we have to find out what
It's
exactly
all,
happens.
where all those houses are.
Yeah.
It's all, it's all cows on that side.
On that side, on
The
the
other
opposite
side
side.
was the shooting.
Yeah, right, they had the little blinds.
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
ground,
There's
so
no
it's
need
still-
to
Some of them still
go
there.
find it eventually.
Yeah, cause I was thinking, I mean, they had like the
don't-
Elks campground, which I think is the Freedom Lake thing.
Wanted to see like.
That was run by the Elks and. Yeah, I know, Boy Scouts were there for a couple.
Freedom Lake, as far as I know, was,
I really don't know. Honestly, I don't wanna mislead you, I don't wanna mislead you, because I don't know. Ken would know.
Thank you.
Because right up above, you know, where the day camp building is, there's this, the old campfire things are still in the woods, these old brick and stone cement things, you know, woods, just to make a little outdoor barbecue. But, yeah, this is really old, I mean, it shows the Taconic going up to 55, and that's where it stopped. You know, there's no Taconic with 55.
right.
We just had the two, the on and off ramps, and that was it. And there weren't too many houses on my road, except for Wolf's old house. And the tenant farm house on the end on the north side. But yeah, I saw that camp, and I was like, oh, maybe Joe would be, I remember.
Does Rockwell still live on, off Flower Road there?
Rockwell, I'm not sure, off Flower. Was that up close to?
You do?
55, or was
How many
that?
times been here?
It was
Yeah.
in between.
Twice?
No, kind of in the middle. Oh,
But this is your second one?
yeah, I don't know, middle somewhere, I don't go down a lot.
I missed the last one, so I was waiting to see.
Oh, yeah, you told me, his son, yeah.
He used to run children's books.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, he
Going to
was
see me
pretty
one time.
popular,
No,
wasn't
He was very, he was
Well,
one of the
Oregon,
first.
father's
Three or four ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in here himself.
In the market.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think a guy who's been through it that long, who owns the thing, would be like, yeah, I'm gonna run it from home, you guys do that.
Yeah, some interesting stuff, I mean.
My daughter went to school with his son, she hated him.
Really?
Because he was brilliant.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
I said, well, that's not
That's
reason
not
to
an
be mad at the
excuse.
kid.
Right. I mean, that's Marcus.
You should be friends with him, maybe he could teach you
It'll rub
something.
off, yeah. You can help me
I
with
remember
homework.
my father always told me to hang out with the
Hang out
smart
with the
kids.
smart kids, right? That'll help you with the homework time right around there, you know, maybe it'll rub off, and before you know it, you'll be with the smart kids.
Also, there's a, on the, this.
But yeah, that was, I hadn't heard about that Allsted development, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's,
I think.
Yeah, I mean, affordable housing would be a good thing, you know?
Yeah, it was a little more, thank you.
The date is
But I
up
think
there.
that's just part of the reason why the moratorium is just to kind of figure out how's this gonna fit with the traffic and the schools. and,
well, what they don't,
You know?
what Al refuses to understand is that when the state did 55,
Yeah. Yeah, they had a
they knew what the population was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cause that just.
stuff up in there, or it's just pulling stuff?
You know, every town has it, every town goes through it. So I'm familiar with it. It's different stuff.
When I'm working on the farm, I can't be learning, I can't be using my fingers on my phone. I try to do like learning from podcasts and stuff. So all good. And when you're in there, I feel like you're getting a free education. It's learning all the politics, especially if you work for multiple towns too, or municipalities.
Yeah.
What works, doesn't work.
What a cast of characters, huh?
Hey, so I have you on that schedule to come along about like 5:15, 5:20. But, hit me up, when you close there, I'm gonna get you through the back end of the place, that we have a green room and stuff like that. So when you get to like the exit 19, you driving up, like, driving up. Yeah, get the exit 19 in that area, just hit my phone. I'm gonna grab you. Follow it down to where the green and stuff is at. So, we all good as far as that stuff. Alright, you good, man? You still on tour? Yeah. People excited, bro. I can tell you that. They're really excited for you, so it should be a good thing. Should be a good thing. Alright, I have that cash. So we don't go with that. Alright, good, you both safe travels. Alright, bro. Hey, P, Buffalo. Hey, P. Your DJ, your DJ use, your DJ Pioneer, that, we use that? Cause I have one that I can have on there, then he use that, all you have to do is bring his laptop, I guess. Oh, yeah, because if he does, I have that deck. And then all you would have to do is bring his laptop, that may help, but, you know. Okay. Okay. All right, no doubt. Got you, bro. All right.
Good to see you.
Just gonna stand over here in the still public area. I'm not gonna go in there just because they're talking about what they're not supposed to be talking about. He's supposed to walk in.
I'm 100% sure you're wrong, 100%. I didn't even know, it wasn't a board member. Mark Day took it upon himself to take the firewall out without board approval. And then he signed off on it, saying that the code. He was wrong, and that's why we're going after him for errors and omissions. That's a $500,000 mistake. Okay? I'm just giving you some clarification, that you're gonna stick your foot right up your ass. Okay, but you're responsible, you didn't go in there. No, wait a minute. The warranty, the independent engineer determined that the problems that we're having right now are not material problems. They're construction problems. The bolts are missing. The trusses were wrong. No, yeah, because they didn't match. Did you read it? Wait a minute. Read Lester's engineer report. They were wrong. And they weren't wrong. I bet you $1 million are wrong.
If they were right, then they would have met on the wall of the foundation.
I'm just gonna ask your questions, I'm never gonna talk about this again, but I wanna educate you. The trusses were supposed to be an inch and a half out of each pocket when built. When the weight went up, the plywood was spread, and that's how the building was. Wait a minute,
Joseph, is that the guy, did they finish? No, I don't know.
He was supposed to make a template and build one correctly, and then he.
I come here to raise my book first.
Because they were built right.
Then when they used it, you had a 2-inch gap.
No, they had no gap. No, that's not the gap. This is what Stan was talking about.
I'm not talking about that. I drove that.
You never put a period in the right place.
I drove that last 99.
Okay, I believe, all right, let me explain it. You don't understand the next thing regarding that gap. Let me tell you what the gap is. That's fine. It's fine. He thinks I'm holding back on it. He filed a letter, that's fine. Lester said that's fine. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is, Lester said in his engineering report, and it is true that Lester helped Mark Day. When Mark Day came back and said, okay, they hired him.
Bring another engineer, get a contractor to do work, are they crazy? Are they crazy? That'll open up a freaking lawsuit, somebody will sue them now.
Mike Kelly was right there.
How can you do that? You
Find
can't.
the trust. Or figure out a way to hoist them up, cut the bolts with no place, but then when they got to the middle, it was this thick, right, for like each block, right? Okay. They cut the bolts.
This is crazy. That's crazy.
And they came back to the middle. I saw again, why is trust Mark Day?
They're talking about, they're doing,
No.
they're working on the.
He said, I'll help you. You're
They didn't ask me anything.
They told us that we don't put the through there, that they were gonna give us a stamp warrant and get the job, correct?
Why they hide that?
Mark Day promised that to us and our lawyers today
No,
morning.
and it's in,
What
it's in the
happened?
record.
In the design that Lester.
Joe, I don't know.
He said, you know, burn it
Take
out.
care.
Just lumber.
Holy shit. I've been coming here, I got 2 years now, I got about one foot or son of Richie Ryan. They leak him in because of the bullshit going on. And he says,
Repair, that's one. That's not the problem we have now.
what's the matter?
Number two, they drilled again, put more holes into it. They never hold. And the new engineer said, this fucking thing is good, cheap, I ain't putting mine in. So you know what he's doing now? He says, I am, the money you're gonna spend now, you're gonna throw away. You have no choice, you have to do it. They are dead wrong, Richie, they're gonna lose their support. This has nothing to do with Lester's design. The engineer funded trusses are built right. If they weren't, I guess they weren't, what do I care?
I know, that's what I thought.
And I'm educating you because you're looking at what you're acting.
I want to let Lester.
They were very good, weren't they?
I will.
They want the trust.
I'm not going.
The original trust. And they gave us very good one.
Yeah.
And did Hudson come back and build it? No. They waited all winter and let them sit out and rock.
Oh, you shouldn't buy
Brand new. First time.
that recorded.
It's a different one. Brand new trust. So Lester is not the kind of company not to do the right thing.
That is more.
And the reason
we've been talking about two separate firewalls. The structure down there has two main components. One is the garage, which is all the trucks are parked. Another is where the actual saw is, right? For 2 years, we've been talking about the firewall that was originally in between those two sections, right? Somewhere in the middle of this, Stokosa came to Mike and said, that firewall has got double-faced sheetrock on it. This place is full of moisture, that's stupid, we should just use plywood, are you okay with it? And Mike said, I'm okay with it, as long as two things are true. Number one, it doesn't cost me any extra. And number two, it meets all applicable, which had to do with the fire.
Rich, remember the recording?
Now, somewhere in the middle of it, Stokosa prepared a memo, I think it was Stokosa, not that, saying that he thought it did.
And then our lawyers wrote him a letter.
And I took that letter and I went to talk to him and I said, well, I know that he's our engineer over it. And therefore, it's his word. He's the one guy who we hired to figure this stuff out. I understand that's not true, but I said, will you look at this and just see if this is right? I just wanted to know, right? Then he looked at it and said, yes. He says, let me make a couple. He said, first of all,
Oh, gosh. Yes, you want you to
change.
Let's take that camera.
Oh, this is a public area.
Not just a line, just kind of, you gotta have the camera here, just be able to close this space, that's all.
It's unbelievable.
You'll have to do that.
He said, it just allows you flexibility.
I'm not gonna cause you any problems, but this is a public area.
Well, the spaces, you're not supposed to be here, she said it, she's
She
correct.
said it, but it's
So
not
you
restricted area.
I'm actually like, just be on the side, please. Take your camera and put it on the spot, because you have volume on the camera. They're violating the law, so you have to take the.
You can't move that
I
camera.
will move it, man,
You're
I'm not.
violating my First Amendment right.
You cannot have the camera here.
Don't touch that camera. This is a public area.
This
That's
is
a
where you
restricted
go-
area, that door.
That's the stuff. All right, you can put it right here if you want. That volume on it, you cannot do that.
Of course there's volume on it. You can do
All
it.
right, then you step back this way, please.
This is a public area.
Not this space. Step back here,
Do you
please.
see that door? That's a
Can
restricted
you
area.
step, they're in session right here.
They are.
Can you step
And they're
over
speaking
there?
loud enough to hear in a public area.
Well, you can step right here, sir.
I can step here too.
Sir,
Is this a public area?
this space is not now, it's not. This space right here, you need to step over here, please.
This is a public area.
Sir, you need to step over here, please.
Are you holding your gun right now?
What? I don't need my gun, bro.
Then what are you doing?
You need to step over here.
This is a public area.
Sir, how do you want to do this?
I want
How
to
do you want
stand in this public
You cannot stand in this purpose. This is not public space for you right now. That's right where that door is at, where the scanner is at, is your public space.
This is a public area. This is,
Sir.
we've been standing here for 20
All right,
minutes while they're.
all right,
working
she's
there.
been going, whatever, they're in session. They call this session, this is where they at, I need you to step over there. That's what I'm asking.
You can call the police.
I don't have to call you, I'll lock you up myself, man. I don't have to call nobody. We don't understand, I will put you in retainment and I will hold you and you'll be taken. I don't wanna do that. I do not wanna do that. Everybody is here, but you cannot stand here, bro. I'm trying to be as respectful as possible. Can you stand over there? The request is happening.
I'm not trying to rush you.
But you are. You ain't trying, but you are.
It's my right to be.
Not right here. It is not. It is not.
Freedom of speech.
It is not.
Freedom of the press.
It is not right here.
This is the town
It is
hall.
not right here.
Courtroom session.
You're in the town hall. The sessions is inside that courtroom right there. They're in session right here.
Behind
And I'm
closed
asking
doors.
you to stand over there.
They're behind closed doors.
That's fine. And you can stand right there. It's totally fine.
Public area.
All right, so what do you want? You want me to arrest you? This is what you want? I don't want to do this, bro. I really don't. I don't. I really don't.
I don't want you to either.
All right, you want to just turn around and have me back there? You will not be coming inside. You cannot do it by the rules here. I'm just telling you. It's that simple.
Did they kick you out of that meeting?
Yeah, he's recused too.
Yeah, you should have been recused from day one. You void the contract altogether. I'm telling everybody. Who's the partner, Dave Sakoza? There he is. They've been talking about the salt shed the whole time. He's been influencing. He's been influencing the decisions the whole time. They forced and bullied a legitimate council member in there because he's working with you.
See, I don't do houses, I do porn.
The way the law works in New York State, you are a public officer and you had interest.
I know how the law works.
No, you don't, because you broke it.
I did. How come
You had public interest in a contract as a public officer. That contract is null and void. And now you're influencing a contract. You're influencing a litigation with the town for personal benefit.
I have no benefit.
I saw the check. I saw the budget where they paid you. To you. $25,000. It's in the public. You're a criminal.
I'm a criminal?
You are a
How
criminal.
come you got judgments all over you?
I don't have any
No,
judgments.
You have no judgments? Oh, I forgot it's your wife because you have no credit. Because you have $30,000 of credit card debt.
I have no judgments on me.
I know. And you have no assets either.
You're a criminal. You should be escorted out of here in
Stop
cuffs.
now. It stops now. It stops. It really stops now. It stops. It stops. Right now, it stops.
I'm sorry that you feel that me voicing my freedom of speech is a problem.
It's not.
But this is not a public meeting.
It's going
This
too
is
much.
a public forum right here.
It stops.
This is a public forum.
I'm asking that you stop now, please.
This is a public
I'm
forum.
asking that you stop now.
And everything's being
Okay?
recorded.
It's
So
totally
if you do
fine.
something that
It's
you're going to
totally
regret, I'm
fine.
sorry about it.
It's
But this is a
totally
public
fine,
forum.
But I'm asking you to stop. That's what I'm asking you to.
You're asking me to stop speaking in a public forum. This is my freedom of speech, freedom of the press.
All right, but we're not in a public forum.
We're not in a public comment period. No, we're in a public place in a public forum. This is not a meeting right now. This is a public forum.
Okay.
In a town hall. I can talk as much as I want to. As long as I don't say any fighting words or anything that will cause any disturbance. I am talking with my freedom of press and speech.
That's totally fine, but I'm asking you to just stop.
You're threatening me. So I'd like you to stop threatening
I am
me.
not threatening
I'm not
you.
going to
I'm
stop.
not threatening you at all. There's no threats coming from me at all. I just asked you to stop. That's all I did.
Okay, and I heard you ask me to stop.
That's all.
They're looking at the hammer like milk. Remind me of that. Right. The servers must have got this already. That's why
want you to stand over this way. Off the
Sit
table.
here like I was before.
Off the table,
Oh,
please.
okay. Oh, okay.
Off the table.
I'm gonna keep
Stand on
sitting
that.
here.
You win. You abridged my freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Good for you. Not gonna risk that.
Either.
We had a late lunch. We actually had late lunch.
Yeah, we'll be all right. That's the one thing bad to have.
Now I'm sort of hungry and I don't want to eat.
You know what I mean? There's only a handful of people.
Yeah, but you guys have
Yeah, well, we're just still in the infancy stages of getting people, getting money. I mean, there's a lot that needs to happen. Don't have a website completely up yet. Don't have. There's still a bunch of things that are taking time. You know what I mean? Taking time. That's mostly money. You know, because you want to get candidates, but you have to be able to, you have to be able to help them. You know, it's one thing to find people who run; it's something else to be able to have them run a successful campaign. Still a work in progress.
You scare everybody because you know the call comes over, you just go to the one say he's not gonna do that. Exactly, yeah. I don't think it's good to put yourself up there.
Once in a while, we go, you know, I like something like that. Yeah.
Everybody's only 500.
No, we before we were.
Which is good.
Yes, yes.
That's a good thing.
Yes, it is. Now you got
That's a great thing. It's protected.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You like to push dirt.
I do.
I enjoy this stuff.
Again, that's his.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
That protects us. It's been 1,000 years.
No, that's nice.
You know, it's beautiful. We got we got a few side by sides. We go over the weekend.
Right now, we don't. Yeah, I know. There's been 2 open spots to supervise council. I think
No, this is
So I have a motion to reopen our meeting. We have a second, all in favor? Aye. Okay. So we had 2 pending issues that we were discussing. One had to do with the moratorium, and the other had to do with authorizing repair work for the salt shed. I believe we've decided to consider your request regarding the moratorium and postpone passing the final one until our next meeting to give us an opportunity to think the various issues over. So we're not gonna take any action on the moratorium tonight. We will postpone it until the next meeting. And with regard to the salt shed repair, I'll make a motion that we pass the resolution to authorize the emergency repairs. Do I have a second? Second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? I believe we have 2 board members recusing themselves. Al and Richie are recusing.
Could you just say recuse? And you?
And.
So, and all in favor?
It was 3 to 3 ayes, yeah?
Okay.
Yes, and I think, do I have a motion to adjourn? Second, all in favor? Aye, all opposed? Carried. Thanks.
Thank you for your time, Steve.
Thank you very much. That's what bullying a council member looks like.
I actually.
Take care of that. Take care of that.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Good seeing you, man.
It's all online if you need to hear anything that happened that shouldn't have.
Sounds like you got everything under control, my man.
Thanks, Joe.
That's what a real leader does.